Hey guys, so you ready for it? Today's October 23rd, 2020, 8:55 a.m. Central Time. This is Joe Biden's America. I am so flattered that so many of you contact me across my social media platforms asking my opinion or to summarize or whatever a large event after that happens, and it's so cool. However, keep in mind this little tidbit of information. Many of you messaged me on Twitter. I cannot access Twitter because I've been banned almost permanently. I'm going to go over real quickly why. I was not given a time or a date, like a 7-day ban or whatever, suspension. I'm suspended. That's really the term. And this is what I'm suspended for. I was not asked to delete the tweet. It simply says I'm suspended. And I appealed it, of course, for the ridiculous reason that it was in place. Ruben 2020... Clyde, don't eat that. Dave Rubin tweeted that. And he says, your presidential campaign slogan is your last name plus 2020 plus the last thing you said out loud. So, of course, I didn't use my last name. I put, are you ready for it? 2020 slut. I'm at the airport, and of all the open chairs, this stupid slut sits next to me. That's all I tweeted, right? So, apparently, that is hateful conduct. Okay? And it says, you may not provoke violence against, threaten, or harass other people on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious affiliation, age, disability, or serious disease. So I'm assuming a slut is a disability and serious disease, because obviously, what else could I possibly have done? And I'm not threatening anything, so whatever. So I can't access Twitter. However, I do have a second Twitter account I opened up a while ago when they banned me for something ridiculous. It's USMC Wolverine. I'll have it in the description, or I'll have it in the comments below, the link, so you can just, sub there. So anyway, this is Joe Biden's America. Last night, the debate between Donald Trump and Biden was actually quite interesting, how they had the mute button. I think it worked out quite well in Trump's advantage, and I wish he had done this on his own, the first debate, because the first debate, he just, came off Trump-wise, Trumpian, and they screamed over each other. It was really difficult to watch. It was just like, whatever. And the more Biden talks, obviously, the worse he is. So, especially when he gets angry. As soon as Joe starts to get angry, he really, not only does he look awful visually, but he just kind of starts to say stupid shit. He literally called Trump xenophobic. So it's really? You're really going to go down that road? So anyway, these were the key topics that is Joe Biden's America if he gets elected November 3rd. I wrote down some stuff here. Of course, he's so stuck on the coronavirus. Honestly, this Joe Biden coronavirus shit is his main topic. It's what he's running on. He knows the statistics up and down. I mean, how could you not when he's doing it every time he's out talking, which is very little, but still. It's almost gotten to the point for myself of Russia collusion, meaning you have said it so much that I don't even give a damn anymore. But so they went back and forth with a virus thing. And, everything Biden said, and I went over it in the video when I did Joe Biden's, agenda type of situation that's in a playlist of what he would do. He literally said nothing different than what Trump is doing other than basically a mask mandate. And we all know that. So there's nothing new there. However, what is new, is the health care. And it's called Biden Care. Well, what's happening at the Supreme Court right now, and I won't go into the SCOTUS thing, but the court case that is at the Supreme Court that will be coming up November 10th is whether or not the mandate that was overturned by Congress actually causes the entire law to fall and is ruled unconstitutional, okay? Honestly, I don't foresee that actually going through, which is a shame, because the reason the Republicans, and I think people are just dumb enough to not realize anything, period, is because it's very difficult to repeal Obamacare in Congress. So they're banking on the courts to repeal it, And in order for them to replace it, and they can't replace it while it's still in place, they can alter it, but altering Obamacare is like putting lipstick on a pig. It's not going to change it. It's awful. Obamacare was a joke to begin with. It was totally partisan. It passed with no Republican support. It passed at like midnight, and it was passed very strange, right? And I went over that many light years ago. So there's just nothing good about Obamacare. But he pushes the fact that that's going on, that 30 million people are going to lose their health care, which honestly, that number cannot possibly be accurate. Does anyone know anyone who's on the exchange? Healthcare.gov? Anyone know anyone who's on an Obamacare plan? I don't. I even did a poll on my Twitter account, my other one. No one knew anyone, and they weren't on Obamacare either. So I don't, other than Obamacare, what Obamacare is affecting, though, the rest of the market are premiums, drug prices, prices at hospitals, inadvertently by having it exist. So what Biden wants to do, listen to this, and this, I won't get into the moderate. Anyway, if Obamacare is ruled unconstitutional, Joe Biden wants to replace it with Bidencare. He explained Bidencare, okay? She even said, the moderator even said, you want to expand on Obamacare. He literally wants to replace Obamacare with Obamacare, which would be unconstitutional. So he's replacing an unconstitutional program with an unconstitutional program with a public option, okay? And if you don't have health care, you're automatically enrolled in Medicaid. That is awful. That is absolutely awful, because I believe, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, Medicaid isn't free, is it? So you're going to have to start paying premiums or whatever into Medicaid, regardless of whether you want to or not. That could be a falsehood right there. I don't know if that's the case. But regardless, you don't want to be on Medicaid. That's ridiculous. Meaning, if you don't have to be, okay? You will suck the system in the states dry immediately. And then he wants a public option, which will destroy Medicare. So it's a horrible plan. So part of his plan is socialism, socialist medicine. And then the other part would be unconstitutional. So Joe Biden's really not doing real well in that area. But, you know, this virus is not going to be with us forever. It's not. I don't know when it's going to go away. I don't really care. There's a vaccine coming out. Am I taking it? Absolutely not. Do I take a flu vaccine? No. If I die from those things, it's by choice. I have my own destiny. I don't wear a fucking mask either. So, you know, but what will be with us forever is the economy, okay? Joe Biden's economy, I don't even know what to say. It won't even be an economy. Okay? He wants to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, which really makes the left, especially hard left, wet. Okay? And the current federal minimum wage is $7.25. That's a huge jump. That's more than double the federal minimum wage right now. That is more than double what some state minimum wages are. Look at what happened to Oregon, okay? Period. They cut people's hours. They ended up having to fire people. Businesses went under, especially like, what do you call those? Like hotels, restaurants, those types of things. All had an issue because they can't pay people $15 an hour when their particular economy in their state cannot offset that, okay? $15 an hour may not be a big deal, like Trump said. New York, California, some of these rather richy states that are actually getting dumped, people are leaving. Maybe it's a possibility there, you know, but it's not a possibility in Missouri. It's not a possibility in Indiana. It's not a possibility in South Dakota or Colorado and even Arizona, you know, so that's why we have state federalism. That is why we have federalism. So a federal minimum wage of $15 an hour will destroy the economy. Period. There will be no such thing as a small business unless that small business has one employee, and that is the fucking owner. So, and on top of that, what else does he want to do? He wants to end fracking. Last night was really funny. He's like, I never said that I would not end fracking. And then he went back and said, I would end fracking. I mean, it was just ridiculous. But ultimately, he said he would end fracking. Okay? The oil industry. He is going to end the oil industry. He's going to phase out the oil industry. Listen to this. He said he will stop the federal subsidies to the oil companies. That's huge. I don't know how many people keyed in on that little particular sentence, that he will stop federal subsidies to oil industry, to the oil industry. That is how the oil industry does business. They need that subsidy in order to keep clean fracking and all this other BS. And that is why we have a low gas price these days, is because we are energy independent. He is going to take us away from energy independence. We are going to go back to the Middle East. Okay? He's going to want to get rid of fracking and cut, wind and solar. Well, guess what, Biden? You idiots under Obama tried the wind and solar for minor shit. And all the companies went under. You even gave them federal subsidies and they still went under. And when people laugh at Trump when he says that, windmills kill birds and stuff, everybody always laughs at, that's a big deal, because depending on where those windmills are, like there's some in California that I believe they're shutting down, or they should, because they're not doing anything. Maybe they should burn down. They are destroying wildlife that is actually protected in that area. So we are actually destroying an entire species of bird, okay, by putting up a useless windmill. That is a big deal for anyone who is an animal advocate, okay? So that's not a stupid statement to make. And everyone always kind of laughs at when he says that. Well, I don't laugh at that, okay? I'm not a huge animal advocate for random animals, but putting out an entire species, it's just like what they did with the seals. They got rid of a bunch of sharks or some shit. Now there's too many seals on our shores. So what are they going to do with them? They're going to kill them. And we created all of those seals by getting rid of their predator. Okay? Every time you screw up something in the environment, there is a domino effect. I'm not saying that's why we shouldn't have fucking windmills. I'm just saying that is a downside to windmills, and there's even a bigger downside because not everywhere can be putting a windmill. Okay? There's only so much wind in certain areas. California is a great place to put windmills. That place, especially where I used to live. In California. So it's just illogical. It's illogical. The solar power industry is not good enough right now and won't be good enough in the next 4 years in order to do what Biden wants to do. It will not be good enough in probably the next decade. And where are we getting those materials right now? China. Okay? There is no true solar industry here in the United States, even when there was a federal fucking subsidy given to them. So he wants to destroy all of that. So let's add that to the ridiculous economy situation. Then on top of that, what is that going to do? That's going to destroy the stock market. And everyone always says, oh, Trump's for the stock market, meow, 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 Wall Street. That's hilarious considering Joe Biden gets paid from Wall Street. And Trump actually pointed that out last night. The stock market affects everyone who has a 401k, like Trump said. You know what it affects me? It affects my fucking retirement that I have. So you know what? Yeah, the stock market, when it kind of plummets, I have a bit of a, that sucks ass. Let's go ahead and try and change that. So Biden's economy in America will be a goddamn joke between energy, federal minimum wage, stock market, and any other trash that he wants to put into place that is a left-wing type of situation. He keeps saying he wants to give money with this virus situation to, the states and the schools and all this shit. Well, and then he went and said that the HEROES Act had passed, the House months ago. Of course it passed months ago. And of course it passed. The HEROES Act is a joke. I read the HEROES Act. They're giving money to illegal immigrants for being here. They're trying to give illegal immigrants medical from being here. They want to bail out, and that's literally the term, major states that have been poorly run. It has nothing to do with coronavirus. There's stuff in there talking about marijuana industry. So of course, no, that wasn't going to hit the Senate, and everybody fucking knew it. And Nancy Pelosi passed it, totally partisan, and knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. It's a talking point. So in order to do any of that stuff, which is what Trump's trying to do too, which any president would be trying to do, you have to deal with Congress. You can't just do it by yourself. So then the other thing is he's going to re-engage with the Paris Climate Accord. Whoa, and then he's gonna rein in China because they're the worst polluter in the fucking world. How are you gonna do that, Biden? How are you gonna do that? Especially when last night you called Xi a thug. You literally, when he lumped in North Korea saying that Trump is, in the pocket of, however he said it, of Kim Jong-un, a thug, he also added Xi's name to that, okay? But then he says he's going to work with China, and he's going to bring China back to the world standards. What does that even fucking mean? So you're going to bring us backwards in foreign policy to what has been going on for decades. And what Obama did, which was even worse, is trust China, okay? So that was ridiculous. And with the Paris Climate Accord, China wasn't even supposed to be in it, like participate in it, till like 2030 or something. And they were getting money from us in order to update their shit, in order to get even into the Paris Climate Accord's like minimum standards in 2030. So that makes no sense. We were giving money to India for the same reason. We, the taxpayers, were giving other countries money to update their fucking industries in order to meet the minimum standards of the Paris Climate Accord so that they could actually get into it, even though they're signed onto it, get into it and participate in climate change, okay? And then they went into climate change last night. I won't even touch that because that's ridiculous. The last thing I'm going to talk about, besides the Burisma thing, is the overhaul of the entire justice system, okay, when they were talking about race and stuff. That's cute. That is so cute for Biden to talk about race when he literally has called blacks super predators in the past. He has literally said he did not want his children to go to a jungle in school, okay? He has literally, and I will post the video below if you do not believe me, went on and on the Senate floor in 1994 when they were talking about his wonderful crime bill, about how he didn't care how people grew up. He didn't care. It wasn't an excuse for any of these people to be pulling what they're doing on the streets and hitting his grandma over the head with some shit or something ridiculous. And basically, he did not give a damn about the black community at that time. And all of a sudden he cares. Even though he says you ain't black if you fucking don't vote for him. He even said that poor children are as good as white children or successful or whatever. And then he also called Obama a clean and articulate black man. Seriously? The older a racist gets, the more verbal a racist gets. And Biden is showing that. So I don't, whether Trump is a racist or not, I call him a failed racist. Because between the permanent funding for historical black colleges, between the working with Tim Scott, the black Republican senator in the Senate for opportunity zones in black neighborhoods, which dropped dramatically the unemployment rate for blacks. And also doing the First Step Act, which was unbelievable to have passed. I was shocked when that passed. Bipartisan. He was able to work, his staff was able to work with Congress in order to pass the First Step Act, which changed a lot of people's sentences, which got people out of jail. It shouldn't have been there, and all this stuff, okay? And we've seen different stories from that woman, I can't remember her name, that should never have been fucking, she was like put in prison for almost life for some minor drug offense. That was ridiculous. So Biden wants to overhaul the entire justice system. That's cute because Biden basically alone, he's the person who literally wrote the crime bill in 1994, destroyed the justice system all by himself, okay? He created under that bill, he created the commission that is for parole, okay? That denies people parole or, allows them parole. He created that system. He actually funded all these federal prisons. He actually funded and gave subsidies to private prisons. He ended up putting minimum sentencing for ridiculous shit like marijuana offenses, okay? Minor marijuana offenses. I'm not talking about a huge drug dealer. Minor drug offenses like marijuana, a minimum of these ridiculous years that obviously everyone knows that the 94 crime bill disproportionately affected blacks, okay? So Biden saying he wants to overhaul the entire justice system because of systematic racism and everything else and bad cops when he's the one who destroyed the entire justice system in 1995 when it was actually enacted under Clinton. I love the phrase, Joe, you have been in office in public service for 47 years compared to what Trump's done in 47 months. Trump could have done half the shit that he has done in 47 months, a quarter of the shit that he has done in 47 months, probably even an eighth of the shit he has done in his 47 months, and still be more productive and gotten shit done even around the world, okay? These peace agreements and everything in the Middle East. He has been more productive than Joe Biden in 47 years. That is what did not come up last night, and that was bothersome, is the Middle East. If Joe Biden gets into office and tries to get back into the Iran deal, which actually will have to be renegotiated because part of it already ended, okay? Will have to be completely renegotiated. He gets into some deal with them. All of these peace agreements that Trump has created with Israel and whatever, those peace agreements and the fact those countries and those areas are slowly starting to, quote, recognize Israel as a state or as a country, they were basically created in order to create stability in the Middle East and keep Iran in check, okay? So Biden going over there and negotiating with Iran and more likely than not, they're going to get money and lift sanctions, obviously, in order for Iran to even take it. They're going to embolden Iran again. There is nothing good about that fucking country other than the people. And I feel so bad for the Iranians. I truly do. I wish that there was a way for them to overthrow that government easily and call it a day. I hate that they go through the stuff they do. And that was a major, major part of my service when I was in the Marine Corps. So I know so much about Iran. If he gets back in that deal, and I said when Obama did the deal, it was a joke and it was going to be awful. They are a huge state sponsor of terrorism in every country all around this world with proxies, with different branches of Hezbollah and all this shit, okay? And they give them money. I always call it's a mob theory, okay? They pay them to do their dirty work, politically and otherwise, and it's ugly, It's ugly. So everything that Trump has accomplished in the last year or so with these peace agreements will be destroyed. Not only that, the countries that join those peace agreements recognizing Israel will be a fucking target for Iran and all of their proxies. It will be ugly. The Middle East will get ugly very, very quickly. And the last thing, the Burisma situation and the story with China and Trump and Biden getting money and Hunter Biden's laptop and all this crazy stuff. I believe it. It's there, obviously. It sounds like in 2019 there was a grand jury put together by the FBI in order to subpoena the laptop, which I'm not sure how that worked. When apparently the guy had the laptop. I don't know how that works. But anyway, so there's an investigation going on under the FBI. And if I were the FBI and the agents on that case right now, I'd be pretty fucking bent out of shape that this shit hit public. I understand the public loves this and they want more answers and all this stuff. That's fine. But when you're in an investigation, I'm assuming, just like the military, you have contacts. You have people that are I don't want to go in there, but lack of a better term, you're getting information from certain people that are getting information from the people that actually are the problem. Those contacts, more likely than not, are dark now. So I'm sure their investigation just went a hell of a lot harder or went down the tubes because of this. So that's kind of a situation there. So obviously there's something going on with the Burisma story, China being involved, Ukraine in general, Moscow paying Hunter Biden, and all that stuff is a whole other deal. And the problem with last night was Trump interjected that quite a bit, which was good for the people who knew what he was talking about. He did not explain it to even a minor degree, per se, putting together in like one topic versus like scattering it, peppering it through the entire debate. He did not put it all together and say, hey, the FBI's got a laptop that's got a bunch of emails between your son and so who just came out with a press conference an hour before this debate, you know, verifying this shit existed and that you're the big man or whatever the fuck he is, or the chairman, and that you get 10% of these deals and that your name isn't supposed to be written, only verbally used. And then that, just simply that. I mean, that's all he had to really say. And then from there on, he could have peppered through what he wanted to pepper through. But the people who haven't heard that story or think it's some conspiracy, right-wing bullshit, and haven't even looked into it, had no idea what the hell Trump was talking about. So that was one thing I did not appreciate. Trump should have put that together a little bit more the first time that he mentioned that in the debate. So anyway, this is Are You Ready For It? Take care, guys. Have a great morning.